Every listening audience, as we are here to have a very profound conversation this evening with black men from around the country. Be the same, and some of ours may be parallel. But I'm your brother, Nasik Emmanuel Shahid bin Avraham, and I want to allow the others that are on here to introduce themselves as we move forward.
Kevin Jenkins, glad to be a part of the conversation.
From Florida, from the state of Florida. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
This is going to be a great conversation, man.
Anton Wheeler from North New Jersey.
Brother Salam.
Salam Ismail, representing 8 states, representative of the National United Youth Council Incorporated.
Yes, sir. What I want to open up with what I want to share with you is that we as the black man in America have to reassess our objectives and our agenda. And when we look at the need to vote, we can no longer just vote for free. We must attach an economic plan to our vote, and we must be clear that we are not a monolithic community, and therefore all of us do not think alike. And it is now time for us as black men in our community to take a stance so that we no longer can be taken advantage of. So I just want to open that up, and brothers, we can start this dialogue and we can proceed from there.
Well, I'll start first. I mean, I think you bring up a very, very important issue. In the last couple of years now, we've been seeing, well, that's not true. The last several decades, we've been seeing this struggle between the black male and the black woman. And it's because of so many other historical factors and public policy factors. But now it has gotten to the point now that, you know, black women in America and certain black women in America think they are a protected class over the black man and over the black family and over, you know, the black community. And we understand how that happened. And I think I think it's an appropriate time for some realignment. We need to realign what's going on in our communities, what's going on in our relationships, what's going on in our marriages. And black men need to step up and learn how to be black men and capture what I believe the Nation of Islam was talking about decades ago. And what I believe other organizations was talking about decades ago, that black men should be the leaders of their family, leaders of their community, and in partnership with their black women, build something that's suitable for their kids to survive and thrive and evolve as human beings. I mean, that's talking about ownership, that's talking about education, that's talking about communication, that's talking about so many things. But what you see now, and it's all over the place, I mean, it's out there on the street, and it was inevitable that it was going to be that way, that black women, certain classes of black women, think that their politics is reflective of what we believe and what we value and what we think. And I got to tell you, you know, historically, how that emerged out of the 60s, Lyndon B. Johnson area, the welfare area, prison industrial complex, the breakdown of our educational system. And what I'm saying is it's time for black men to take a step back and say, okay, what do we need to do to recapture our communities and our families and our women to bring back order to our neighborhoods or to our existence? Because right now, the way it's looking is you have, like, I was just laughing the other day that all of these people were standing up saying that we want to elect a woman because she's black. Well, as black men, we understand that that is not a good business strategy at all. You know, I mean, because you are black faces in high places doesn't mean it represents us at any level. So I wanted to, like, at least try to capture some of that before you go in with some of the questions you're going to ask.
Well, I mean, I believe that, you know, Obama got the last pass. Obama got the last pass for identity politics. And so it's an era now for us as black men in particular, because nobody is speaking for us. No one is talking for the black man in America. So now we must take the responsibility and speak for ourselves. And if you look at the immigrants that have come in, hey, look at this. Look at this here, man. In New York City already, have spent $1.5 billion just for the immigrants that just got here. Some buildings, some schools, they have taken over, renovated. The top floors have apartments, and the downstairs of those schools is classrooms for them to go to. They have not done that for us. In Chicago alone, they have already spent close to $900 million for these immigrants. But they continue to say they have no money to help the black man. And in New York, 51% of black men are unemployed. I'm saying it has to be a new order coming today.
Well, very quickly, if I may.
Can we introduce
Brother Deshaun? Good seeing you, brother. How you doing?
You're from in your name, big brother?
Family, very sorry for that. I was having camera issues dear brothers. Hotep, Black Power, Dashawn Farad, journalist and reporter with the GoPro Radio Network.
Good seeing you, brother. Good seeing you.
Out of Washington, D.C.
Yes, sir.
Yes, between Washington, D.C. and the New York City area. Yes, sir.
Well, what I just want to say is it's a pleasure to be on here with all of you. Brother Emmanuel, Brother Kevin, Brother Deshaun, Brother Ishmael, it's definitely a pleasure to be here. And let me say this to you, you know, today was a day of reflection for me, and it would be no other better way for me to honor my mother than on her birthday. She would have been 77 years old today to be here with you, with these brothers, facilitating the conversation about these issues. So I just want to say thank you. And what I would like to do is just set a couple of parameters just so we know. Brothers, we're going to be at a point where we need to keep it down to 3 minutes per response. I may let you get 3.5, maybe 4, but we want to try to keep it down to 3 minutes per response. I will say, brothers, that's peace. That's peace to let you know to start winding it down for your 30 seconds because we all talking in love and respect, and we get very passionate. So I'm going to say, brothers, that's peace. That's peace. I'm going to say, brothers, that's peace. That's no disrespect. Brother Emmanuel will be holding the mute button because, I mute you. But no, I just want to keep it humble. I thank Brother Kevin and Brother Emmanuel for opening it up. Brother Ishmael, do you want to say anything? I'll speak after all of you brothers that have spoken and give me introductions. And I'll start with the questions that we have. There's some information that Brother Emmanuel wants me to put into the feed. However, Brother Emmanuel, what I'm seeing now is that's what was taking me so long. And audience, please forgive me for the camera outage. I was trying to link to my different feeds so that we could maximize our viewership. It's only allowing me to go to the Voice of the People page on Facebook and the Anton Williams page on Facebook. So I just want to be clear about that, and that's how people will get the feed. Get the information that you want me to put into the feed whenever I get it. Okay. So brothers, let's go, man. You know, Brother Ishmael, Brother Deshaun, you have anything to say?
Yeah. First of all, let me just say this, that we are in the most challenging time in American history. I mean, across the board, there's a time where even the system that we have always expressed outrage to, they in confusion right now. I suggest to you, it's a political civil war going on right now. We're in a unique position. And then we're also in a very bad position. And I'll say that real short and quick. We're now in the fourth minority. There's groups here that are getting special attention to, and are moving forward stronger than we are ever been. The LGBT community, the immigration movement, and the Latino community, and then there's us. We are, unless we do this now, and that means do all the things that are necessary, including take charge, take leadership in our community, we're heading for a very, 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 very bad time for us, for Black American men, which will also be reflected to our family, will be almost non-existent.
It was you, because silence in the face of injustice is complicity. And that's why, as far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are two wings on the same bird. And the one question we never have, when are we going to organize the black vote before we vote? That's right. If you notice, everybody tells us to vote. The politicians, black businesses, the fraternities, the churches, vote, 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 the Urban League, the NAACP, Congressional Black Caucus, vote, vote, vote. Why do you think nobody never says organize the black vote before you vote? So we vote as a block. So politicians know we're doing this as a people. You know why? If we voted as a block, Envy, we could hold people accountable. See, if I vote as a block, I can hold Eric Adams accountable. I can hold Brandon Johnson accountable. I can hold Kamala Harris accountable because she know we went to the polls as a people, united in oneness. But when you vote as individuals, schizophrenic, disorganized black votes, who you gonna hold accountable, Envy? The man could do what he want. You voted alone. You didn't link your vote with nobody. What can you do to me? You say you go to Joe Biden, what you gonna do about police genocide? What can you do to me? You voted by yourself. If you notice, political power is all about mass organization. If you're not organized, your vote only matters to the person you're electing. It'll never matter to us.
Brother Deshaun, you want to start us off before I get into the questions? You have a statement you would like to make?
So, family, I'm at a point that I've been at for quite some time. I wish black people would do for self, and I believe that black men definitely should take this lead with the millions and millions of dollars that black men had raised for Vice President Harris last week. There's no reason why we should not be doubling that every week or every month to build supermarkets and other supermarkets and banks and other structures within our community that would sustain us. And that's how I'm looking at it. Straight ahead, black power.
Right. All right. So, gentlemen, I want you to take your time. The first question I would like to ask you in focus is, what do you believe overall is our biggest problem confronting us, people in New Jersey with the upcoming 10th congressional district election, and then nationally with the upcoming presidential election? What do you think is our biggest issue that we need to deal with when going into this election season? Brother Kevin, start us off, please.
Well, I don't think we should look at this in political cycles. I think you asked a very important question. What is our truest dilemma? Our truest dilemma is black denial. Black denial is one of our bigger issues that are affecting all of us. The black denial about what's happening in our community, what's happening with our children, what's happening with the education of our children, what's happening with our relation. We are still in denial about the self-destructive forces that we've allowed to emerge in our neighborhoods and in our families and in our households. I mean, so it's not about the political cycle. It's about how do we repair that? How do we bring that back to focus? How do we recommit ourselves to that? We keep making these emotional political decisions that bring us no value. And then we try to add that and layer that on to our existence as a group, or our existence as a family, or our existence as individuals. And that is our problem as Black Americans. We are in deep denial that we should be worrying about the barbarians inside the gate and not be worrying about the barbarians outside the gate. The barbarians inside the gate is help the white supremacy continue to evolve, because Black leaders, so-called leaders, or Black individuals are now their proxies. They're the new Negro whisperer. And until we deal with that, we can never talk about what the future looks like for us, because we're still mired in a narrative of Black denial that we won't be able to move forward. Our children will continue to fail. Our families will continue to be broken. And that's why that system keeps lifting up these pseudo-intellectual women. I like to say that, pseudo-intellectual women, and say, oh, they're the right decision makers for the Black community. They're the right decision makers for the Black child. And we see that recipe, and we see that experience, and we see the experiment is not working. And it's up to us as Black men to recapture that.
Women today, like the modern women, they want the aesthetics of what a man is, but they actually don't want a man because they don't want to be submissive. And I know that's a word thrown out there. Women get scared of that.
Explain what you mean by submissive for those unaware.
Submissive as in respect, being the peace, the calm, always, right? So if a lion is roaring, you have to learn how to quiet, So it's just like women don't want to be submissive. Women don't want to be corrected. We're the only nation of women that say they don't need a man, and you have all these other nations. Those women aren't saying that because they know the greatness and the importance of a man being around, not just financially, but for beyond that. It's beyond finances. It's for the structure. It's for the balance.
All right. Thank you, Brother Kevin. Brother Shahi, Brother Emmanuel, you want to take it next?
Yes. My thing is that I think that the Black man in America, first of all, we lack unity. we lack unity and trust with each other. And as a result of that, others have been able to take advantage of us, and we have sat back and allowed that to happen. I say that it can happen no longer. We are at a breaking point now, that once you look at what they're doing with the immigrants, and that's above us, now we are really below the totem pole. And every time we come to them for assistance and help, they don't have the money and the resources to help us. But you find all this money. Now I'm a Yehudim, right? But you can find money for my brethren in Israel. You can find money for the immigrants who just got here. You can find billions of dollars for Ukraine, but you can't find nothing for to help the black man and his development. We built this country. You know, Kevin, you talked about the situation with our women. Well, it happened even under Willie Lynch. So we got to go back to when this first started, when they took the black man and they would whip him, and then they would tie one leg to one horse and another leg to another horse, and take the mother and the child and have them watch this as they demoralize the black man, and then send the horses in two different directions to split his body open. So we got to understand that Dr. Naeem Akbar talked about the psychology of slavery and how that has continued even to this day. And then if you look at how we move from the slave plantation to the prison plantation. So therefore, this ain't no accident that we populate the prison industry and we such a small percentage of the population. So therefore, even with the prisons today have moved from preschool to prison pipeline. So we got to understand the dilemma that we are in, and we can no longer allow people to just promise us and promise us. Malcolm told us and taught us and repeatedly talked about the liberals and the conservatives, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. He warned
running for president tells Negroes what he's going to do for them when he gets in office, and after he gets in office he has time to do something for everybody else except the people that put him in office. He tricked the people who put him in office. He has the time to take a stand against U.S. Steel, against Castro, against Khrushchev, against Laos and South Vietnam and all these other places all over the world. But when it comes to time to correcting the injustices that are being inflicted against Negroes in this country, Kennedy sits up there like Nero. He's fiddling while Birmingham is burning.
And Dr. King,
This is correct.
And Dr. King talked about how we need to, they want us to pick ourselves up from our bootstraps, but no longer should we do that. We come into Washington, D.C. to get our check. And it's now time for the black man to come together to get our check. And no longer should we vote for free. Economics should be our agenda. They have shown that they care.
This crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress.
Provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Peace, brother, peace. Peace, brother, peace.
Brother,
All right.
We just get started, or maybe get started on here now. I'm gonna tell you that now. Now, listen here, America. And I'm gonna be nice
Peace.
for Bernie tonight, but don't get me started. I'm just trying to
Brother Ishmael, you want to take us? You want to go next, brother? Please go next.
Well, I mean, you know, when Shahi speaks, people listen. But for sure. I mean, the thing is now, we've been through enough to know where we at. Now we have to have enough common sense to come together and to cast some voice for the future, because right now, like I said, we're in a destitute situation. And what's going to end up happening, because some of us are very weak under our sisters, because they have no other choice, according to them and their mindset. So we're gonna have to lift up brothers that's right now already on the floor. We're gonna have to reshape strategy, including the narrative. Even how, let me just say this real quick. Well, I've been doing a lot of advocating around police brutality and, you know, gun shooting and all that. And if you notice, many times the media always want to speak to the mother. Even if the father's right there, they'll speak to the victim, always be the crying mom. And very rarely do you see the father, even if he's there in the mix, even the husband, they will always step back and allow the wife lead. And so that's the projection that's out there. So we have to change those little narrative, and we got a lot of work to do. I mean, on us. You know what I'm saying? We know this is systematic, but that doesn't have nothing to do with what we need to start doing with each other. Like discussions like this got to be more broader. And some people, let me just say this: a lot of us, one of the things we have to start doing, even from a grassroots level, get the ego out of our mind, because we got a lot of ego. Some people don't even want to come in forums like this because one going to outshine the other. It's just little simple stuff that we have to work on us before we talk about casting other agenda.
3/4 capable of working and are willing to work, but it's just the way it's set up. The mother and the children are better off if the husband isn't working or if the husband isn't there, and this breaks up so many poor families.
One of the saddest things is that many of the children whose parents are on welfare will in their turn end up in the welfare trap when they grow up. In this public housing project in the Bronx, New York, 3/4 of the families are now receiving welfare payments.
Well, Mr. Brown wanted to keep away from this kind of thing for a very good reason. The people who get on welfare lose their human independence and feeling of dignity. They become subject to the dictates and whims of their welfare supervisor, who can tell them whether they can live here or there, whether they may put in a telephone, what they may do with their lives. They're treated like children, not like responsible adults. And they're trapped in the system. Maybe a job comes up that looks better than welfare, but they're afraid to take it, because if they lose it after a few months, it may be 6 months or 9 months before they can get back onto welfare. And as a result, this becomes a self-perpetuating cycle, rather than simply a temporary state of affairs.
Brother Deshaun, would you want to add on?
Yes, I'm glad that Brother Emmanuel mentioned Dr. Naeem Akbar. What I was thinking several minutes ago, the Black community globally, but specifically here in America, we are either unaware of the fact or in denial of the fact that there's been a war on the Black psyche and on Black identity, Black men specifically, for the past several centuries. And oftentimes it is, keep in mind, it is impossible to heal when you don't know or don't want to acknowledge that you are sick. There's something that a good friend of mine, you've seen him on Roland Martin before, Dr. Cleo Monago. He's a behavior architect. He's always stated, he refers to it as the Black trauma trance. And so one of the things that the Black trauma trance causes us to do, it puts us in a state of intellectual retardation, if you would. Mm-hmm. And so no matter how much we're beat up on, we don't understand the necessity of pooling resources together. Now you have Black folks panicking. I've said this, not only am I a journalist, I'm a political commentator. Okay. And so I'm a social commentator. I've said this before, and I've said this on national radio, blog talk, etc., etc. Every 4 years, Black folk are panicking at the thought of a Republican taking the White House. Every 4 years, sometimes every 6 years, of a Republican, the Republicans taking the Senate. Every 2.5 years, the Republicans taking over the House. I maintain that the Black community should be solidified enough so that no matter who's in office, who's in charge, our community is okay. This thing they did with, first it was Black women organizing for Kamala Harris, raising millions of dollars. Then it was Black men raising millions of dollars for Kamala Harris. Then it was Black gay and Black queer men. They had a night too, raising millions of dollars for Kamala Harris. We should be mobilizing and organizing throughout the year. Throughout the year, we should be doing this, not just for a feel-good moment. And oftentimes, and I understand, back to that trauma trance, we enjoy seeing a Black person in office, but something that James and Toomey used to always say regarding Obama, we haven't stopped celebrating. And it's the same way if Vice President Harris becomes the president, we're going to be celebrating her. We're not going to hold her accountable. And then those of us that will hold her accountable, what do we have to worry about? Black attack dogs, Democratic cheerleaders or Democratic shields acting as cheerleaders and attack dogs, as Amos Wilson warned us about. So my thing is, the Black community, I believe in independence. I'm not worried about who's in the White House. I'm going to end with this. Dr. John Henry Clark stated that the best speech of Brother Malcolm X's career was, ironically, the 60th anniversary of it was two or 3 days ago, his Ballad of the Bullet speech in 1964, when he broke from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And in that speech, Malcolm gives a plan on how the Black community should use our vote if we're going to vote. How we're going to utilize the vote.
That's right. That's right.
My thing is this, and I'm closing with this point. If you're going to vote, I'm not telling you not to vote. I'm not telling you not to vote Democrat. I'm telling you to vote to seek political power, economic power first, then political power. The other communities have understood that you have to have money first, then politics. The Black community has it backwards. You want to have politics and no economic power.
Peace, brother, peace. All right.
In America's politics, Black people are lulled to sleep believing that there's a future for us in America's politics. You got more mayors, few governors, more city councilmen, more judges, more police chiefs, more rape, more murder, more joblessness, more hopelessness. So if politics was really the answer, why haven't all these politicians that we put in office helped to change the reality of Black suffering and white poor suffering and Latino suffering? Politics without economics is symbol without substance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Second question. We've talked a lot about what the Black male needs to do with regards to our this upcoming election, and all of you agree that we need to take back our community as men. What do you propose is the first step in doing that going forward? Brother Emmanuel, you want to start us off?
Well, I think that these conversations is in the first step. And I also believe that we need to honestly reassess where we are with our vote. I tell y'all all the time, partner, I don't have a dog in this fight. My efforts and my energy is devoted to the black man standing up and getting his fair share of what is honestly due to us. We built this country. We slaved in this country. And we should be, and this country owe us. Now they keep telling us what they don't have the funds for, but they find money for everything else. And this whole thing in politics is nothing but economics. But they also prove to us that our votes don't actually count. They just proved that. They just proved that. 15 million people voted for Joe Biden. Not one vote was cast for this system. But now you done stretch that out by 4 or 5 people making the decision to say you behind in the polls, so we gonna change the game, partner. So therefore, you can do what you want to do, but we always knew, brothers, y'all know this, we always knew that there was a power behind all of this. And so what I'm saying now, what we must do, because we see what you're capable of doing. But if the Democrats want to continue to ignore the black man, because the Democratic Party is not speaking for us, the Republican Party is not speaking for us, the LGBT community is not speaking for us, our women organizations is not speaking for us, the environmental organizations are not speaking for us, Bitcoin is not going to speak for us. So we got to take the responsibility to control our own destiny. And now is the time, because we can no longer give a pass, man. We can no longer just, identity politics, man, is over. That has not benefited us. And I'm not getting tied up into all this emotional stuff. This is real.
White folk are rich and powerful, the rich and powerful. Because black folk worked for 310 years as chattel slaves and got not one day's pay. I could call out the rich and the powerful whose riches have been gotten on our backs, but I'll save that for another time. The point is, the present generation of whites did not do this. But the present generation of whites are in their privileged position because of what a former generation of whites have done. Now the question is, a black agenda.
I think Brother Emmanuel is correct. One of the things I find interesting, now that black men are having this discussion, we are the problem. Now that black alpha men are standing up and saying, hey, something's wrong here in this community, something's wrong here in our families, we got to correct this. And we are starting to have this conversation, and we're having it from a spiritual perspective, from a human perspective, and from a family perspective. But we all are searching for our blackness, our maleness, who we are, our masculinity, because we were always told when we demonstrated masculinity that something was wrong. We were told all these years that, oh, don't be a strong black man, be a strong, get along black man. And then, you had women and men in our communities over the last several decades. I mean, if you really wanted, they were a part of the problem.
Exactly right. The black male is being feminized. I couldn't put on one of them skinny suits. I said, damn, what is that? It's all up here. The fly that used to be hidden by the length of a coat is all the way up here. Your behind is out as a man. Well, who's spotting that for you?
Yeah, it's almost like if they can't kill us, they want to feminize us.
Say it again, Charlemagne. That's exactly right. The black male is being feminized.
I don't think as black men, alpha men that are going to continue to evolve around this discussion, I don't think we're prepared for separation. I think that we're going to try to go and fix everyone when in fact those people don't want to be fixed. They have embraced the theology of dishonesty and lies, and they want to live in that matrix. And if we want to create something new for ourselves, we got to go out and create that again and create new standards and principles and build a new kind of community that's focused on how we can collectively bring value to each other. So, you know, when you talk about prosperity, you got to talk about health. When you talk about prosperity, you have to understand what our real economic power really is. And that is our economic power is that we are Black Americans, that we should know by now that our only focus should be the purpose of our race and the purpose of our focus and the purpose of our future. And all of this other stuff about a man of color, a woman of color, Black, all of these are cultural and social wars that they keep us trapped into, so we can't get to the core of what the reality is. I think the brother said we are fourth. I think we're fifth. I don't know. I might have misinterpreted that. We are now below the illegal immigrant. And this pseudo war between the Black male and the Black female is that the Black male, the Black alpha man, is starting to take the webs off of his mind and take the webs off of his eyes and get rid of his brain virus and say, what in the hell have I allowed to have happen? How did I let this happen? We know Malcolm said it. We know Martin said it. We know leaders from the past said it. But look what we created in our communities because of our lack of. And we can say that society and the system had a lot to do with that, but the system was still operationalized when the Nation of Islam did it. The system was still operationalized when Dr. Henry Clark and Dr. BLACKMEN, and I know them all personally. And when they all came and they taught us and educated us about who we were, they didn't say go to school to get that information. They say come to this lecture series and get that information. So we got to redefine Blackness again. We got to redefine what Black culture is again. We got to redefine what the Black family is again. And that's the only way we're going to correct this. Politics is nothing but an instrument to our bottom line.
In humanity or sympathy. He wants to control, and he will control by any means necessary, or he will destroy. He shares nothing with nobody. He never enters into partnerships with other people. And if you think that he's going to enter into a partnership with you, no matter what he calls himself, capitalist, Marxist, or socialist, or anything, he came to control. Under any guise, he must control. And once you understand that, you have to understand, no matter what religion I belong to, no matter what denomination I belong to, no matter what political ideology I follow, my people must always be in charge of themselves.
That is it. We believe, Black Americans believe we are more Democrat than we are Black. That is scary. And then when you have the conversation, they take out their armor. You got to see them. Oh my God, the Democratic Party, they don't even know why they voted for the Democratic Party.
Right.
They have no understanding, no historical analysis, no historical references or anything. And then the Black man, we've been challenged because we've been criminalized our whole existence on this planet. And so now I'm saying, stop the grievance talk and get to the real talk. What do we do to change that?
Brother Deshaun.
Well, I would like to say a good way to counter what I oftentimes refer to, and I've written about this, the evil Black man narrative that we've definitely seen grow in media over the past decade, since actually the lives of since the creation of Black Lives Matter Inc., is to ask ourselves the questions: what is it we're doing? Who are we feeding? How many younger brothers or young brothers are we mentoring? And I'm talking about our sons. Our sons, our nephews, that brother that's on the corner, brother that's in college. How many of us are part of mentoring programs? You have several mentoring programs across the United States. How many of us are either donating money, resources, or our time? Okay, see, I believe in Kujachakalia, self-determination. We define ourselves. We determine our own destiny and futures. Okay, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad oftentimes, okay, fine, after he finished beating up on the white man, the white man is the devil. He said, if God leaves the white man in power, respect him, because the white man is ruling, he's ruling his own world. Build your world, buy banks, buy properties. Of course, before that, we heard Garvey doing the same thing. But what are we doing at the same time? And I'm glad that Brother Kevin mentioned that, we were operating under some heavy machinery, during Jim Crow era, et cetera, but something we also have to keep in mind. The United States government waged war on the Black community during a time that Dr. Maulana Karenga refers to as the golden age of African Americans, the 1960s, the counterintelligence program. that most Americans, including most African Americans, are not aware of. And so every time we have to keep in mind, I'm going to close at this point. That is correct. COINTELPRO. Every time Black people took aggressive effort or even a passive effort to do for ourselves, what ended up happening? Dr. Julian Malveaux says we became the victims of white economic envy. We always got sat down. You know, had we been left alone, we could do good. You know, Black Wall Street. There were various Black Wall Streets across the country. When people say Black people need to stop blaming white people, we weren't blaming white people. We were building for ourselves, but what ended up happening? We got curved.
I mean, just like the brother said, but here's the thing, though. We have to chart the direction. I don't have no problem of going over a lot of stuff that we have been through. We can give testament to that, even personally. But we have to start charting it. What's going to be our strategy moving ahead? Of course, unify, organize, and then motivate. We have to put that part of a strong strength among our community, from us men, before we talk about doing anything else.
That's right. I agree.
Well,
Agreed. Go ahead, Brother Deshaun. You want? I mean, was that Brother Emmanuel or Brother Deshaun? I'm sorry.
It was me, brother.
It wasn't me.
Brother Emmanuel, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe and I understand what Brother Ishmael Salam is talking about, and that's a long-term objective. But we also have a critical time in front of us right now as Black men, and that is that we have no trust and no faith in American political system. We have no trust and no faith in this. This process has not worked for us. This has not benefited us. And so the question becomes, are we just going to vote just to be voting? Or are we going to use our vote as Malcolm and Dr. King's talked about getting the check? You understand? We got to, you know, so this is why they see what they see, and now they see the value in our vote because they need it to get them over the cliff. But this has not worked for us. And I'm going to say this point because I'm a spiritual man. Now, most of you may not know, but if you read in Deuteronomy, the fifth chapter, the 29th verse, the Master of the universe says, keep them to perform them as the Lord your God has commanded you. Listen to this, brothers. Do not turn aside either to the right or to the left. See, history is repeating itself. So the Creator then goes on in verse 30 and give you specific instructions. I mean, the whole chapter 5 in Deuteronomy is about the instructions from the Master of the universe. But the point I'm going to make is he's instructing us not to look to the right or to the left. And who are the two opposing forces right now seeking rulership in this country? The right and the left. And he's telling us not to look to the right or to left. So Malcolm had something going on when he told us. And that being that independent force, that we move accordingly based on an economic agenda. But most folks think in looking at, and I don't know if it's Brother Kevin who said it, they're looking at these political parties as if they are your salvation. They are your deliverance. We got to take responsibility for our own salvation and our own deliverance. And if they want us, then it's a price tag and a permanency seat at the table to no matter who's at the table, or no matter who's in control, because that's the way they do it. That's the way they continue to cut it up. And we can't continue to play games with this.
All right. All right. I want to ask another question, and I want to hit a little switch. Because one of the things you touched on, Brother Emmanuel, and Brother Kevin touched on it earlier, in a sense, is that, you know, we're fighting a spiritual war. We're fighting something that is deeply evil, in my opinion, at least in my opinion. And nothing is more telling, not only with the policies that are going on around the world, but for on full display. I don't know if anybody got to watch the opening ceremonies to the Olympics. And see what happened. If I'm not mistaken, it was a mockery of the Last Supper that was made. And you know, we're really fighting this fundamental evil around this world. And you know, I just want to know, what do you brothers think we need to do? Because I have you at this half hour mark. It's about 37 minutes into. What do you brothers believe we need to do truthfully? Brother Emmanuel, I heard you quote scripture. Kevin, I know you walk every day and you get into your zen. Brother Deshaun Frat, I know you do your thing. Brother Ishmael, I know you do your thing. But as a collective whole, as a humanity, especially as men, trying to, you know, really ward off this evil, what do you think we need to do to combat what's going on?
We need a new consciousness in this world. It's really interesting you asked that question, because it is all spiritual and it will all be corrected divinely, but through our action. You know, through our action. These things will not reverse itself by osmosis. You know, the spirit is giving us a deeper understanding of what's happening in the world. And there's only a few people on this planet that understand it and will fight against the tyranny of their time. So it's like seeking God's face for the right answer. And then when you get that answer, to turn that into a powerful force that links to your God consciousness so you can take the proper action. I think what's going on with all of us now is we're saying to ourselves, we have to get better. We have to tap into something different. We have to tap into the university so we can figure out how we move forward in the world that is hell bent on stripping us of our body sovereignty, stripping us of our human rights, stripping us of our rights to just breathe and live and be in love with one another. They have created a world where we are fighting constantly because we're not fighting against the right energy. And if we were fighting against the right energy, we would transform this world. I know it's really, you know, people say, oh my God, they're talking about this and this. But at the end of the day, it's all spiritual. And I think a lot of you have said that. But the spirit only can correct itself if we take appropriate action. So when you tap into your God consciousness, that gives you the ability, even when you're left alone, even when you're by yourself, even when you just it gives you the ability to see it all. You know, like, you know, Neo saw the Matrix. We are the ones that see it all. It's not meant for everyone else. It's meant for us. So I think that if we tap into our God consciousness, we save the world, because then we have we have the God courage to fight against them. See, you know, it's about fighting these people. Even in your household, even in wherever you are, you have to fight these people because they actually are succumbing to an evil that they don't even understand.
All right, Brother Ishmael, you have anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, I mean, I may sound like a broken record because like minds like ours, more of us need to come together and have this discussion or have discussions. And then those same like minds have to take the responsibility moving forward. I'm a street guy. Anybody that know me, I spent 42 years on the street, grassroots, operating. We talk and then we move. We make a move, make an action. Even the small wins. And I think a lot of that kind of leadership that used to exist on the ground level, let alone on the national level, is non-existent. So we got a lot of brothers out here that's, you know, they're looking for something. And I think that a lot of us, like minds, become almost quiet and choirs in the church. You know, we sing to ourselves. So we have to make that commitment to expand this board that we talked about. And I'm not talking about the 5 or 10 brothers that would have been on it for some reason they can't be. I'm saying that there are thousands of brothers that think like us. They're just not connected with us. So we have to also, I think, open up and then move forward. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brother Ishmael. Brother Deshaun, you got something you want to add?
Yes. Can you hear me from this angle?
Yes.
In 2017 in DC, I had attended and covered the power conference that our brother Carl Nelson he works for Kathy Hughes, Carl Nelson, WOL, Carl Nelson Show. He's the host of Carl Nelson Show. Anyway, he had various speakers, Umar Johnson, Professor Small. Professor Small said Professor James Small had said something that caught my attention and it stuck with me to this day. He said, okay, for several centuries we had Christianity, and then we have Islam. In America, we practice Islam. We practice the Hebrew faith. We did away with that and began practicing what we call African spirituality, Ifa, Yoruba, Kemetic wisdom. We have our E5 beads and our crystals. After we practice all these faiths, we still haven't got it right. So there's obviously something in the application that we're missing because, I mean, think about it. We have this high science, all of us. I mean, you know, we have this esoteric teaching, but we're still regressing. So now individually, okay, we may follow Quran, Sunnah. We may follow the Holy Torah. We may follow the Huzia, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm getting at, the Bible, but we're still regressing. So there's something that we're not getting it. There's something found, you know, we have all this high science, you know, but yes, the spirituality came from the black man, this, that, and the third, et cetera, but we're still messing up. We're still intellectually retarded.
Well, it's funny you say that. Hey, brother Sean, you messed me up, man. Hey, listen.
I love that.
I want to say this.
What they do is they manipulate Republican racism against blacks to the benefit of the Democratic Party. So, for example, let's take the George Floyd police bill. Still hasn't been passed.
It
right?
hasn't. No.
When the Democrats had a majority in Congress, it still didn't get passed.
Nope.
When the Democrats were in charge, it still didn't get passed. You know why? They didn't want the George Floyd bill any more than the Republicans. But what they did was they do what? They wait until the Republicans have a majority, then they bring it up for a vote. Okay. So now when it doesn't pass, the Republicans kept the George Floyd bill.
So they at fault, yeah.
But what about when you was in the majority?
Right.
Why didn't it come to the floor when you had a chance to pass it? Because you didn't want it either. So what the Democrats do is they stifle anything that benefits black people while they're in charge. And they wait till the Republicans come out, and then they enter it when they know it's not going to pass. That's how they control us.
Pushing on
We are literally under a two-party dictatorship. Black people suffer from the illusion of inclusion. Yeah. And that's what keeps us loyal to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Get off of both of them.
And this is what I think we forgot, just my commentary, is that we've given up our true connectivity to the universe and have allowed their adulterated notion of spirituality to affect our common sense. And then we have to learn that in this understanding of the universe, there is a duality, because we have to understand the creator system and we have to understand the system that was created by man and throw us off from the creator system. And in that system is economics. What's king is economics, collective group economics, at least in my opinion. I just wanted to, put that out there. We have, it's 43 minutes. We're into our broadcast.
I didn't get my answer to this question.
Go ahead, brother. Please do. Go ahead. Go. You got the floor.
Whoa, now I told you. Don't let me cut me short now. I'm trying to tell y'all something here. Listen here, America. I ain't playing with this tonight. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't playing with it. Let me say this to you. We're facing the most sophisticated mind control mechanism known to man. And they know now how they have programmed humanity now. This is why the scripture says that, and in the sacred writings it says 99.9% of this world is a lie and deception. They have made the truth look like a lie and made a lie look like the truth. We on the front line. Not these gatekeepers, these sellouts, these Uncle Toms, these poverty pimps. We on the front line. When they have to come and address things in the street, Salam, they come to us because we got receipts. We got receipts, man. They come to us. But they let them folks who they answer to think that they are the leadership speaking for black people. So if we're going to move forward in any shape, form, or fashion, they got to go. They have misled the sheep. And they come among us like they clothed in sheep clothing. When we talk about the universe of the master of the universe and being on the right frequency and sine waves, we connect to him to get that kind of consciousness. We got to return to the point where we were prior to when he said, I breathed into man. What did he breathe? A consciousness, a new thought. So we got to be born again. And we can't depend upon them. to speak for us any longer. And that is when we have to get this foot out of our throat. And we got to take control, and we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible, even if we must separate ourselves from them. Even if we must separate ourselves. Black people got to separate themselves from black leadership or misleadership that have been oppressing black people.
Okay. All right. I respect that. I respect that. All right. Now, I would like each of you to take at least 5 minutes, because we're at the 15-minute mark, if you don't mind. Because what is the overall call to action? I know Brother Kevin has some ideas. I know Brother Deshaun has some ideas, and Brother Emmanuel and Brother Ishmael. But when we get off this platform this evening in the next few minutes, what is the overall call to action, and how are we committing ourselves to further this discussion and really put some fire behind it to get some results?
I think
Brother Kevin, if you don't mind, I would like you to go last. You and Brother Emmanuel go last, if you don't mind. And Brother Deshaun and Brother Ishmael, if you would start us off.
Okay, I don't mind.
Thank you.
I'll probably be less than 5 minutes because it's real simple. I do this every day. I've been to 4 events today, and I'm making this conversation.
Yes,
I think that we need to connect. There's brothers like Tyrone Muhammad in Chicago. There's a little young brother named Stefan. His brother got murdered in California. He's doing some work. There's brother in Flint, Michigan, called Big Flint. He's doing some work on the ground with brothers. There's brothers all across the country that think like us. First and foremost, we have to connect with those brothers. They may be a little shy because, they're on the ground. They don't trust too many people. And I understand it. Even though I can call them, and they still have to trust you because these are brothers, like Brother Sahi said earlier, boots on the ground. These are people on the ground. They're not just on no Facebook. I very rarely do this kind of stuff. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, we have to also educate. I think Brother Jenkins might have mentioned it, what have you. These brothers, they dead. They don't even have a clue. And that's why in a lot of cases these women organizations are leading the community, because these brothers just don't have a clue. So we have to educate. And then we have to and only then we develop the strategy and the theme of that strategy, and then move forward. And we got 100 days to do it. That's it.
All right, Brother Deshaun.
Well, as Kwame Ture stated, formerly known as Kwame Ture, either join an organization or start an organization. Organize. I'm telling black men across America, join a black organization or create a black organization. Mentor our young people, specifically our younger black men. Buy a building. Create an institution that will benefit our local community. Start where we are first. That's all I have to say. Hotep Black Power.
Thank you very much. Brother Emmanuel, Brother Kevin, which one of you? Flip a coin. I'm thinking of an. All right.
I'm giving homage to the bald head guys tonight.
No, I actually agree. I think we do have to build. I actually agree. I think we have to build institutions in this country and align them so we can build a bigger voice for Black American men in this country and really outline what our purpose is in this nation and in this world. And if we can do that, I think we'll accomplish a lot of great things. And it's really one simple question: do we want to survive or die? I mean, there's no argument there. Do you want to survive or die? So if you want to survive, here's the roadmap for that. If you want to die, continue to do what you're doing. So black men, no matter where we sit in whatever building, whatever house, whatever street, we got the same thing. Either we do that or we die. So they win. They depopulate the black male. They annihilate the black male. They neuter the black male. They turn us into some monsters that are opposite of our blackness and our maleness and our uniqueness. And then they use our families and our women to do that. And then they use systems to keep us trapped so we can't go and do that. Then there's this animosity that occurs. So I'm saying that not only do we build institutions, but we have to live within these two principles: live or die.
All right, brother Emmanuel.
Well, tonight is just the beginning. And as Brother Ishmael said, we got 100 days, which leads to a particular day that's coming. And this is why I say that it's important for us to balance our power. Brother Allen says here, quality economics, quality education equals social prosperity.
I agree with him.
I agree with that. But you got to understand, we don't need no little trinkets. We need real economics in our community. We need real responsibility to take control of our community. And so I would say that, God never chose a politician to lead his people anywhere.
That's right.
So we got to be careful about these POLITRICKS they playing, because they liars. They liars, brothers. They have not been truthful to us across the board. They have not been honest to us. They promise us the world during election time. You go knock on their door, they got amnesia and don't know you. They in the office, but they out of staff say they not here right now. I saw the joker come in. You understand what I'm saying here? When we come to them about helping black people, when we come to them and talking about dealing with the prison industrial complex and going into these prisons to help our people, and we talk about alternatives and prevention, they don't want to put the resources in our community. They're going to tell you to go get a bogus little grant. A bogus little grant, Salam. But you're giving billions of dollars to other folks. You bail out the banks. And the banks and the executives in the banks was making profits in the millions of dollars. You bail out the airline industry. You allow Big Pharma to rip us off because they're the strongest lobbying group in the country. The strongest lobbying group in the country. But you want us to sit back and y'all play us for being stupid. Kevin, they think we're stupid. They think we don't see what they're doing. They think we don't see how they're getting paid. The black man in America want to come up like everybody else want to come up. We want to eat like everybody else want to eat. We want to take care of our children like everybody else take care of their children. We want to love and build a solid relationship with our woman like everybody else builds a solid relationship with their woman. And all the other ethnic groups, we just didn't get here like this. This come for 400 years, man. And we have yet, the black man have yet to get his fair share. So the Democrats has taken advantage of us. The Republicans have ignored us. But now everybody need our vote. I said we hold it until we get the economic empowerment that we deserve our fair share and we deserve a seat at a table. Enough of this foolishness, man. Fannie Lou Hamer said it best. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, man. And my Bertie Mac voice, we here, America. I ain't trying to hear this no more. I ain't trying to listen. I ain't trying to hear this no more, America. Now y'all gonna have to cut this out, cut it out, and cut it in, or we gonna cut all of it out. Plain and simple. We can't play with this no more. It's time that we get our come up, and economics have to be our priority for the black man. Now, if our woman don't want to be with us on that, I don't know what woman that don't want a man that's making some money. You understand what I'm saying? So they can't talk about that we ain't talking what's real. No, we're talking what's real because we see how every other community, it's about economics to them. It's about economics, man. And when you mess with their money, you messing with their lifestyle.
All right,
us, we don't have that kind of value to them.
All right, brother. Well, listen, I just want to say one thing. I am encouraged by this dialogue. I'm encouraged by this understanding that there needs to be something done. All those brothers, Brother Ishmael, that you talked about, if you don't mind giving me their names, I will reach out to them so that we can start this process of bridging that communication gap and start showing some support to one another. Because, see, that's what it's going to take. There's a lot of apathy in communities. So it may take for us to get with our brothers and sisters that may feel the same way in Chicago and bring them to Newark, New Jersey, or bring them to Camden, or bring them to wherever, or bring them to Philly, we need to start networking with like-minded individuals. And at the same, I agree with Alan Patterson. I've said it before to a group of people. We need to have our own political action committee. We need to have our own lobbying institution that lobbies for our issues. That raises money. I mean, you figure there are about 40 million Black Americans in this country. If 20 million of them gave $1,000 a year, just $1,000 a year to a political action committee or something of that nature, even if we just started, if 20 million of us gave $1,000 just to start our own bank, we would have so much power and so much say so, but we don't see the importance of collectivity and collectivism. I have one more question for all of you brothers, and and you can wrap up with your closing statements from there because we're at the hour mark. I just want to ask one question. For you, what is this election about come November? Brother Deshaun.
Well, to me, it represents the fall of America. Okay, we have Satan versus Lucifer. They're both the devil. And when I say Satan versus Lucifer, I'm speaking not necessarily of individuals, but of systems and political parties. Okay.
Hold up, brother. Hold up. Damn, what did you say? Oh. Hey, frat, hold up. That's my frat brother. I'm proud of him. He was supposed to, hey, look, what did you just say? Is Satan versus Lucifer? Go ahead, Deshaun. I'm sorry, bro.
Okay, because we're dealing with a system that is oppressive, a system that practices racism and classism, and imperialism. And it's something Dr. Eddie Lord stated. Whenever you look at these conventions, whether it is the RNC or the DNC conventions, all they're advocating is American exceptionalism. We're number one. They're like the Spartans. We're number one. We're the best. So when I say Satan versus Lucifer, they're both the devil. They both represent the same entity, the same mentality. Okay, so me, I'm not telling, and I say this all the time, I'm not telling Black folks not to vote. I'm not telling Black folks not to vote Democrat. I'm telling you to be very clear what it is you are voting into. Because when it comes down to, are Black people constantly deciding what master we're going to serve, what former slave master we're going to serve. So if Kamala gets in, this election represents, as Dr. John Henry Clark stated, ceremony over substance. It does not represent Black liberation. If Trump gets in, it still represents quite naturally white supremacy, regardless of who gets in. If Trump gets in, his presidency actually brings out the level of white supremacy that our grandparents saw, and in some cases that our parents saw. Okay, so to me, it should be a wake-up call for our community.
All right, Brother Ishmael.
Well, I'll say this in closing. I mean, we know what we're up against. The fox or the wolf. That's what I identify. When Malcolm talk about this all the time. He said Democrats is nothing but Dixiecrat. So we've been lessened very much, especially people in our age group. The thing is now initiation. We need to now move forward on an action plan. We need to bring in brothers and comfort them and understand that we need this collectivity, and then let's take leadership back. That's all. Very simple.
All right, Brother Emmanuel.
It is our responsibility for our future at this point. We have nowhere else to go but to each other now. We have nowhere else to go. Technically, we have nowhere else to go but to the God of our understanding. I'm a lover of humanity, and I love Black people. But it doesn't mean that I hate white folks. I can love Black and not be anti-white. So what I'm saying to us is that we need to be serious over these coming days about how we going to move so that economics is all they can do for us. They can't do nothing else for us. So we need a new deal. We need a new deal. There's a reason why Lyndon B. Johnson did what he did and said for the next 200 years, I would be happy. We will have these Negroes voting for Democrats. There's a reason behind that. I say cancel that deal. We need a new deal. And it has to be about who's going to give us the best stimulus package for the black man on an economic front. Because people say, well, that means if you don't vote, then the other person going to win. We've been voting and we ain't won. We've been voting and we haven't won. So what difference does it make? We've been oodles and noodles and all along anyway. We've been ketchup sandwich, mayonnaise sandwich, sugar sandwich, sandwich with no sandwich anyway. Our kids haven't seen each other in a long time, and it's time for them to have a family reunion. Am I making sense to you? I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Brother, you make absolute sense.
I mean, what are we doing here? I'm just being, I mean, it's very painful, brother. I do jokes to avoid from crying, looking at this disaster of what has become of our people. When we look at the giants that we once had on all levels, and we're not talking about, we don't own nothing, we ain't built nothing. We are a nation. The black man is a nation. Treat us like a nation. Treat us like a nation. That's the respect we deserve. We built this country for free. So I'm just saying to you all is that when we look at what's the next week, we're going to have another discussion and it's going to be full of brothers, but the point of the matter is today is that we have to, the divine spirit is working the universe right now because this is what black men are talking about. This is what we talking about. We want our fair share, man. We want our fair cut. So I'm not going to be playing with this foolishness, man. To me, I ain't got a dog in this fight. But if they want something from us, then you got to pay, partner. You got to pay like you've been paying. These jokers been making money. They've been making money, partners. You know how many politicians are connected to those packages going, their family members are connected to those packages going to Ukraine?
That's right.
Do you know how many? Did y'all hear what I just said to you?
Yeah, you're right.
You know how many of these politicians pushing this money going to Ukraine and on the back end, they family members, they sons and daughters is getting paid off of those packages?
Well, what is the saying? Want to go to D.C., look at a politician's voting record and you'll know how they're going to retire to what board or what corporation. Brother Kevin, you want to take us out?
No, I think this is a great conversation. I think they are right. I think everything they said is absolutely, I mean, the thing is that we're operating within a system that we're at the bottom. And when you're at the bottom and you don't understand that the system is operationalized to build wealth for other groups and to secure power and influence for other groups, and that the other groups look at you as a vehicle for their power because you're the commodity to their wealth. Well, after 50 years of seeing that happen to yourself, it's not about you talking about the Republicans. Why would you vote for a group that's undervalued you since its inception? And majority of Black Americans in this country, they don't even know why they vote Democrat. It's like Pavlov's dog. It's like this spell that they're under, thinking that this party values democracy, which we've seen in this last election. It doesn't. This party values, the growth and the economic growth of Black Americans, not with hand-me programs or hand-me bull crap, but real economic development, right? Like every other community has had access to. So for me, here's the system we operate in. How are we going to leverage ourselves in that system? Mm-hmm. How are we going to leverage ourselves in that system? Right. I know where we are now, but how do we leverage ourselves? And I think we're going to have to grow up politically to understand that this is a business model that we didn't build, but we have to embrace and operationalize it in a way that we all can prosper, families and as a group and as individuals.
All right. All right. Well, Brother Kevin, thank you for that. Brother Emmanuel, Brother Ishmael, Brother Deshaun, thank you so much. I appreciate you allowing me, Brother Emmanuel, to facilitate this discussion. And this is what I would like to do since we plan on getting back together. And hopefully, man, that we will even be able to touch base throughout the week, coming up to next weekend. Because Brother Ishmael, I really want those numbers. So I can reach out to those people. I don't care if it's social media, email addresses, or whatever.
I'll give it to you, brother.
All right. And what we need to start working on, I would believe, is a national email address. Hey, we start out with 100, we end up with 1,000, and then we'll end up with 10,000 and maybe 100,000 and then 1 million. So we have to look at trying to broaden our perspectives and our contacts and our commitment to sharing information, to grow an email database, to commit to a monthly newsletter that talks about these are some of the solutions that I'm offering you guys. Maybe you decide where they need to be. Offering a monthly newsletter to the issues that we're speaking. And that'll be important while we need to get people's email addresses and social media handles and contacts. And also starting that agenda, what I say, I mean, brothers, if you think about it, man, if 15 million people in this country thought the same way we did and was willing to give $1,000 to the cause, we have a national lobbying movement, and we have a national agenda movement.
And we can affect policy.
So, it's important that we think along those lines. Like I said, I'm giving us a little bit of homework for next week when we convene. I'm sure all of us are going to talk sometime throughout the week, periodically. But think about those things. Brother Alan Patterson had a great idea about the PAC. I've been saying that for a long time. The only way you're going to effectuate money talk, BS run the marathon. It's just that simple. Just like Nino Brown says, see you, and I wouldn't want to be it. So, it's important that we, hey, come on now. Hey, we all of age. We knew our mama ain't take us into those stores. She ain't had no money because she ain't want to hear us say buy nothing. So if you ain't got no money, you ain't got no purchasing power. If you ain't got no money, you got to shut up and walk along the aisles. If you don't have no money, you got to shut up and watch what's on the shelf. It can't take nothing off. So, we got to have some money to be able to take something off the shelf. And what we want to take off the shelf is our marginalization, our dehumanization, our demonization, and our lack of ability to strive and get what we need economically. So, brothers, if you have nothing else to say, I just want to say thank you so much. Like I said, man, today is my mom's birthday. She would have been 77, and I'm glad that I was taking part in this discussion with you brothers today, man. Thank you very much.
I want to thank each and every one of you. I thank you for answering to the call. This here, it represents what the black man is thinking and how we are feeling today. And so we have to it's on us, brother, to take this responsibility. And and those who really want the black man vote, they're gonna have to sit down with the real black man, the real black men, the real alpha men that are in our communities. Because this is what we feel, and this is why we really have no interest right now in this political process. And we must be honest about that. And, and be as truthful as it is. We have no trust in what's before us. And we're not falling for that game. I'm just gonna say it again, man. I'm in closing. We ain't with this identity politics no more. That has not worked for us. That has not worked for us on the local level, the statewide level, or the national level. That has not worked for us. And particularly the black man. That has not worked for us.
All right. And brothers, as we close out, man, and as we get out of here, I also want to put on that agenda, besides the Political Action Committee coming up with a national platform and 10-point program of our list of demands and things that we need. Brother Ibrahim, man, Jamil Ibrahim, man, that's my man. I was fortunate enough to work with his families, his kids when they were in school. I was their dean. He said something that's important. We need to start a national agenda also for trades and technical services. My man Phil Wilson says that all the time, man. A person being able to spray a car, paint a car, change tires. It's amazing. what instructional trades can, the type of life that instructional trades can provide.
Quality service.
So, I definitely want to get with you guys, man. I hope we get on that agenda and put them together. My heart is in education. I don't think I'm leaving no time soon. But I definitely got to change the way that I effectuate helping kids realize their genius in learning. So, brothers, if there's no more, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Peace and love and respect. My name is Anton Will. I'm host of the People United, here sharing the broadcast with my brother Emmanuel Abraham. I thank him very much. Brother Deshaun, Brother Kevin, and Brother Ishmael, I love you. Thank you all. Peace, love, and respect, everybody. Have a great day.
Hotep Black Power.